I know what you may be thinking. Have I gone mad? Am I crazy? Do I mistake the color red for the color blue? Do I wish an army of angry shippers to harpoon me to the bottom of the ocean? These things may or may not be true, but the point of this video today is not to be looking into a romance between Knuckles and Amy Rose. So please retract the spears you've already thrown in my direction. No, today I want to look into something I think is quite relevant for the modern state of the Sonic series, especially when it comes to character interactions. And what we're looking at is, are Knuckles and Amy truly friends? Do they actually have a foundational relationship? And I don't mean romantic, I mean as friends. Do they actually have a friendship? There may be a lot of you thinking, yeah, of course they have a friendship. Do you not see it? The Team Sonic, the main four? A lot of that stuff is more recent than some of you might be aware of. Yes, Amy has often been hanging around Team Sonic, as it were, but that is only at the surface level. As far as the interactions between individual members within Team Sonic goes, you might be surprised at how little there is between Knuckles and Amy Rose. If we go right back to the beginning when Knuckles was brand new on the scene, naturally he came out of the ground punching Super Sonic in the face and then laughing as he runs off with the Chaos Emeralds. But before his time, Amy Rose first met Sonic when she got kidnapped by the Metal Doppelganger and then later saved. So there is a bit of real life time in between the introduction of these two characters. In universe, after Sonic 3 and Knuckles, what happens with Amy and Knuckles? Not much. Knuckles at this point is still a rival and kind of leaning more towards antagonistic than friendly most of the time during the classic era. Not to say they never got along, but there was definitely a lot more baggage between the two. So you would see them a lot in the spin-off games such as Sonic Triple Trouble, where Knuckles very much was a nuisance to deal with once again. Then there were the games like Sonic 3D Blast, where Knuckles was seemingly more on Sonic's side, and of course you have the plethora of more party-styled games like Sonic Drift, and it's that category, the party games, that Amy would show up in. But these games had very minimal story, and even the story that is there has nothing to suggest Amy and Knuckles on the same page, because keep in mind, Knuckles and Sonic are not even on the same page. At this point, it's Sonic and Tails, and then other people come in and out. Knuckles and Amy are not part of the team in the classic era at all, but especially Amy. Amy just shows up in the party games. Once we spin dash over into the 3D era, story becomes far more important to the games and the future of the series. So now we can take a closer look at developing character relationships. In Sonic Adventure, Knuckles is still kind of the loner he's been in the classic era. He has mellowed out now, he's not always going after Sonic, so again, 3D Blast I'm pretty sure was one of the last classic era games, kind of makes sense, but he's not buddy-buddy with Sonic either. He's definitely not gonna just put up with all of Sonic's antics all the time, and obviously he doesn't hang out with him all the time. But when the need arises for him to leave Angel Island and search for the Master Emerald, he does so. And one of the first things that happens after he leaves his home is he gets tricked by Dr. Eggman again to go after Sonic again, just because Eggman tricks him into thinking that the Green Chaos Emerald was a shard of the Master Emerald, which means that Knuckles' trust in Sonic was not high enough to consider maybe the same lie isn't true just because he's holding something green. This, obviously, does not directly relate to Amy, but let's flip to see her side of things. When we see Amy, she's daydreaming of Sonic CD and related events until a robot attacks her and is chasing after a bird. Using this bird as the catalyst for her adventure, she'll eventually meet Sonic and ask him to defend it, and he does not care, and he's also kind of worried about Amy's presence because he knows she's going to try and hug him or something like that, and then he runs off. So, just like with Knuckles, yes, they will interact, but they haven't really changed from the classic era yet. Amy is still his fangirl that he doesn't want to be around, and then Knuckles is still that rival that will sometimes help him but doesn't even trust him enough to ignore Eggman's lie. And the thing is, by the time the game's over, that's it for their characters. They don't really intersect. Yeah, they all gather at the final cutscene when they give Sonic the Chaos Emeralds, but Knuckles and Amy at no point in Sonic Adventure actually team up. They both meet Sonic, they both meet Tails, but neither of them have anything to do with each other. Moving to Adventure 2, where the game really focuses on Team Sonic, Team Dark, Amy is lumped onto the side of Team Sonic, but she's more of a sort of extra member. She's not playable, obviously, so it reduces her screen time, but she still gets quite a bit done. First she meets up with Tails, but together they go and save Sonic. Eventually, Amy and Knuckles will interact, but the interaction is she's trying to yank him out of a drain to get out of the way for Tails, and he doesn't seem all too happy about that. This, I think, is actually the first time those two characters directly interact, at least in the main games. There might be some side official media that I've forgotten, but in the main games, I think Amy yanking Knuckles out the drain is the first direct moment they interact. So from the classic era all the way to that moment in SA2, that's the first time they interact. By this point, Sonic and Tails already have a strong established relationship. Sonic and Amy have a developing one where he's, you know, slightly less running away as he was in CD. And then Sonic and Knuckles also have a developing one where by the time of SA2, Knuckles has really abandoned the idea of fighting against Sonic, and he truly is one of the pals in that point. But Knuckles and Amy? No, absolutely not. Again, they don't hate each other. Obviously, Knuckles is going to know who Amy is from hanging around with Sonic and Tails. Same for Amy when it comes to Knuckles. They will know who each other are, but that doesn't make them friends. Not even close. Not even close. This notion of Knuckles and Amy obviously knowing who each other are and being physically near each other at time to time due to their relations with Sonic and Tails will carry on for quite a bit throughout the games, because in Sonic Heroes, Amy's interactions with Team Sonic is strictly focused on Sonic himself, whether it's at their team fight at the start of the game or when she chases Sonic at the end of the game, has nothing to do with Knuckles. There is a little bit of insight we can glean from in-game dialogue. Knuckles will taunt Sonic in a sort of friendly, jokey way that he's leading Amy on again. So again, he's fully aware of the relation Sonic has with Amy, and he's mocking Sonic over it. But that really is as far as it goes. That is as far as it goes. In Shadow the Hedgehog, he's fighting aliens. In Sonic 06, he's dropping cards on the floor and walking the wrong way. I don't think... Does he interact with Amy in 06? I actually don't think he does. No interactions. In Sonic Riders, they do seem more like a closer friend group, but once again, it's mostly through the lens of Knuckles knows Sonic and Tails, Amy knows Sonic and Tails, and they don't hate one another, so here they are. Unless that, yes, Knuckles and Amy specifically have a bond between themselves. It's more just we know the same people and hang around each other a lot. That's the feeling. Pretty sure Zero Gravity continues that trend as well. So as you can see, throughout the 2000s, their relationship is we know the same people, we work together. That's as strong as it becomes. Barely any scenes are dedicated to just the two of them. I say barely, I think the true answer is 0 scenes are about just the two of them interacting. So yes, there is basically no ground whatsoever on the idea that Knuckles and Amy have a actual relationship, a friendly relationship. At least more than a surface level, we both work at the supermarket, you know what I mean? Now, in the modern day, as a lot of people have been discussing, myself included, there's clearly a directional change at Sega where they want to reshape the model of Team Sonic, which, at least in the 2000s, if you said Team Sonic, people would assume you mean Sonic, Tails and Knuckles, not Sonic, Tails, Knuckles and Amy, even though Amy would commonly be around them. But nowadays, yes, when they mean Team Sonic, they mean the main four: Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy. But once more, the bond between Amy and Knuckles when it's just them isn't really existent. We're just told now that they're all great pals. But we never really saw anything before then. It's just, we're told to accept they are great pals now. The end. You know, in Generations, Amy flings Knuckles into a tree. In Lost World, Amy sacrifices him to the Little Bird army. It looks even worse than in the 2000s, to be honest. I mean, in Free Riders, he gives Amy the sickest burn that she deserved for being annoying in that game.
You know that Sonic never holds back, Amy. I thought you liked that about him. But I'm supposed to be the one exception!
Exceptionally dense.
The 2010s is a downgrade on a friendship level between Knuckles and Amy. They're just attacking each other left and right. But now, here we are in the 2020s, they're best buddies. Well, best buddies is an exaggeration. They're good friends. And don't get me wrong, I get it. Marketing. They want to present this team of four, and also, I guess, beyond marketing, to be a nice, comfy experience, right? They want the stories to be able to have this group of four friends together. I understand that they want that, but the series wasn't that before. But just like with Amy's inconsistent character growth, they just kind of went, okay, now they're really good friends, and you're just gonna accept that, without any smooth transitions. I've read the most recent issue at this time of Sonic IDW, where it's just Knuckles and Amy adventuring around on Angel Island. And I feel like the writers, or at least some of the members of the writing staff, have noticed this same weakness in the main four dynamic that I'm talking about in this video, where they said, you know what? Yeah, there is not really a foundation, or at least an explained foundation, between Knuckles and Amy. So that issue tries to start building one. Amy and Knuckles will complement each other and give us a deeper dive into how they think of one another. Now, it's all still kind of having to be revisionist, but it's plausible because none of it really contradicts what we've seen. It's just that the story never bothered to focus on it before. So that's fair enough, because clearly this is the direction Sega wants. So at least the comic team are trying to put something down to make it make sense. Depending on how much you care about continuity, the additions to the classic timeline we get nowadays might be problematic for you, because as we add more story content and more adventures of classic Sonic's main four, that means we're getting a bunch of Knuckles and Amy interactions that obviously didn't exist in real life before, but are now going to be part of the timeline moving forward, where it's clear that these will also be trying to make all the members of the team have friendships with each other, so Knuckles and Amy presumably will be getting a lot more buddy-buddy relationships too. So if you're new to the Sonic franchise, this isn't an issue for you. If anything, it's a bonus, because now things are being built to make sense throughout. If you've been around for longer though, and you knew what it was before these changes, it might be a bit jarring, because now, inserted before even Adventure, we've got stuff of Knuckles and Amy being closer than they would have been beforehand. But then you go back to Adventure and Adventure 2 and so on, where it's not like that. So it could be a bit jarring, but like I said, I understand it. Really, there's not a great way to handle this unless you maybe give them a story focused on it, which is what the comics seem to be setting up. Again, only one part of that story is out right now, so who can say? That's really the best way you could do it. Either give them focus in a game, or give them the comic focus. But what do you guys think? Am I just completely off base here? Have their relationship been more established? I know that in multimedia, there would have been more interactions. I still think in Sonic X, Knuckles and Amy were a lot like I described the 2000s of being, where like, yes, they know each other, yes, they are friends with the same people, but they're not exactly super compatible with one another themselves. Let me know in the comments below. And thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope you have a great day, and to see you next time. This is the Mighty Emperor, signing off.